No, this is my part 2. To the video I made. And I had an individual that I was in the on the panel with, and they were talking about, you know, all the mudslinging and stuff. All the mudslinging and shit that's going on. And they asked me, the woman asked me, she said, so you just a complete racist? I said, no, I'm not a racist, I'm a bigot. She said the same thing. I said, no, it's not. See, a bigot is, I don't like you, I'm bigoted to who you are, I'm a bigot. A racist, that means I have the resources and money and power to control the outcome of a group of people. I have the resources and money to hinder that person's life because that person is black. That's racism. Now, damn, all these goddamn idling trucks. But mine's idling, so. But for the most part, I'm gonna think this to the day I die. And I have people that will tell me you wrong for that, for feeling like that. I say, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I ain't never met no good white person. White men or women. I've never met no good white man or no good white woman. And the reason why I say that, because looks are deceitful. You did. Looks can deceive you. You'll have people that act like they're friendly towards you, cordial towards you, only to find out that that they was racist. And see what happened to me. I'm gonna tell you what happened to me. Why I have this attitude towards white folk, men and women. I used to work at Six Flags years ago. You just one instance, it's gonna be many. And I worked, you know, at that time I was a virgin to this shit. I try to, you know, look at everybody as equals and shit like that. Equilibrium. Treat people as they treat you. That means treat them as you want to be treated. So, I got a position. You know, I was busting my ass at this job for this position at Six Flags as the, what you call the wardrobe manager. Now, I knew where every uniform was at. Every uniform was at, had everything broke down to the sizes. Whether it be the performance for what, the Robin Hood shit. Had everything organized where you didn't have to, nobody, when they came and got their costumes and shit, they knew where to go, they knew where to trade. The people that work in the park, they knew where to get their uniforms that they had there. Have always had their uniforms there. And everybody in the that worked in the damn park, including management, who sometimes will put their suits and shit, they tailored suits and shit, get them pressed out. Yes, there's the management. So, I was efficient at the shit. I got real efficient at it. To the point I knew where everything was at by alphabetical order and number. Numerically. Alphabetical and numerical, right? So, this position, you know, that I wanted, at that time, back in the 90s, and what, 90, I think that was 95, 95? Yes, 95. That position paid $15 an hour. Now keep in mind, this is 1995, $15 an hour was a lot of money back then. Especially for a motherfucker just getting out of high school and shit. You know, cause I graduated from high school with what? 94. So I was 17 at the time. No, I was 16. I'll take that back. I was 16. I turned 17 in July. So I liked that job. My mom and dad bought me a car. So they bought me my first car when I graduated, a graduation gift. At that time my mom and dad was together. I come from what you call a nuclear family, even though my mom and dad divorced later on after we became adults. But I had the luxury of growing up in a two-family household. Even though my dad was a blue-collar worker, my mom was a nurse, but I had the luxury of growing up in a two-family household in the hood, in a nice house. I was supposed to be raised in poverty in a one-family household? Nah. But overall, I worked my ass off for that position. So they brought in this other dude. He didn't know shit. So I had to teach him, show him where everything go, white boy. Show him where everything get, blah, 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 blah. How to keep everything right. And I was training him. I didn't know I was training that nigga for a management position that they was gonna pay him $17 an hour. Cause I was trying to really get that spot. Well, they gave it to the white boy. So that's what you call, that's white privilege right there. So at first I tried not to think about it like that. I try to say, man, maybe they gonna have me do something else. Nope. So after a while, I got kind of, I fell off. I started slacking off. Cause I feel that position, I knew where everything was at. I worked my ass tooth and nail for that little job, and it was a little bullshit ass job. But the point was, I was in fucking, it was, Six Flags. And that meant a lot to me because that's like, damn, I did it. So they gave it to the white dude and paid him even more. They paid him starting off at $17 an hour. So I'm like, kind of salty about it, but I just sucked it out my head. Like, nah, that ain't what it is. That ain't what it is. So my dad, when I got home, I was sitting up there, my dad, got off work. We were having a conversation. So he said, what's on your mind? Because I can see it on your face. My dad said, I can see it on your face. I can feel it. What's wrong? I said, well, it's a job that I wanted at Six Flags, and I was busting my ass for the job. And I was teaching this dude, basically showing this white boy how to take my job. Right? He said, my dad put his arms around me, around me, said, son, let me tell you something. In life, shit ain't fair. He said, they motherfucker, what? They DEI'd you before we knew what DEI was. The white boy was DEI high. So, I said, my dad said, the reason why they picked him because he just simply told me because he was white. He said, don't feel bad. I got done like that many a times where I trained people for a position they was white and got put over me. He said, that's why you always use, as black men, that's why we build for ourselves. And see, my dad was an owner-op. That's how I got into trucking, because of him. That's how I became an owner-op, because of him. I said I never want to be employed by nobody again. I want to be my own boss. So That's a whole nother video. But that's not the only time that happened to me. There was several other times that happened to me, but just to talk about all of them, it'll be, to get to the point is that black men especially are seen as a threat to white men. See, white men, they have a false superiority complex. They have a false superiority complex, but they have an inferiority complex as well. Their inferiority complex is bigger than their superiority complex. You know what I'm saying? They ain't superior. Let me say that one more again. Their inferiority complex is smaller than their superiority complex. I'm gonna show you for a prime example. Take black men, white men laying up with black women. Now, a lot of people, black women in their mind, they think that's a flex. White men don't think it's as a flex. And the reason why white men don't think it's as a flex, because they see their most attractive women hooking up with black men. Getting with black women to them is not a flex, because they always, the thing is, white men have always had access to black women. Nothing new. That's why it's not a flex for Brad to be with Keisha. Not a flex at all. Actually, it goes against them in a way. That's why a lot of white men, when they fuck with black women, they gotta keep it on the low, like on some Mr. Cartwright shit, where they want to mess with you at the job, but they don't want everybody to know. But even though everybody really know, they don't say nothing about it. But white men, you'll have a few white men that do come out and say they love black women, and that's because those men don't have resources. So they don't care, they don't have no resources to leave a black woman or leave wealth, generational wealth to black women. So they could go out, they could marry out and get a black woman. If you ever notice, most of these black women are with guys that's average white guys. They ain't with no motherfucking multi-billionaire white women. You have a handful of black women that are, but not no, like, it ain't numerous. But like I said, back to the subject, I got off a little bit. Like I said, it really, I've been through that shit with white people, white guys. I trained for a position and they got it. And there's a lot of men that, that been through the same shit. There's a lot of women that been through that shit. Black women been through that shit. Y'all know y'all trained Becky for a job and Becky replaced y'all ass. Y'all know that. But you all will say, well, there's no reason to hate all white people. I never said I hated white people. You think I literally hate white people because they're white? They're not even white. That white is a social construct like black is. It's a social construct. Throw that out the window. And think about it. The reason why that they keep white supremacy, and like I said, the elite can't even hold white supremacy together. Because in order to have white supremacy, in order to have it, you gotta pay money for it. And white supremacy is expensive. That's why you got all these white men running around here without jobs, because they don't want to pay them the money that they want to get paid because they're white. That's why you got all these alt-right groups and shit running around here talking about, we need to hire white men for jobs. That's why we voted for Donald Trump. And now, even that affected the divestment movement. And why that affected the divestment movement is because those black women that divested Swirl seen Kamala Harris as a hero. You got the first ever so-called quote-unquote black woman. And she's married to a white man. So that's a plus for the divestment camp, right? Only one problem with that. Those same white boys who are white supremacists and white nationalists. So now, you hear people, a lot of these divestors talking about fascist government with Donald Trump. And now these black women are angry at black men for voting for Donald Trump. But hold on, 60% of black men voted for Kamala Harris. And the reason why they voted for Kamala Harris, because black women were talking about, if y'all don't vote for Kamala Harris, we ain't giving y'all no snatch. Them niggas like, ooh, not that. We'll vote for it. I said, nah, I'll sit it out on the couch. They said, you ain't gonna vote? For who and for what? All you getting is 4 fucked up years of what we just got out of. For another fucked up years with Trump ass doing the shit he do. So you think I'm gonna go and vote for either one of them? Fuck it, I voted for the couch. I learned how to water paint. And I did other shit with my time while they were voting for that shit. And Donald Trump won. And I told him the reason why Donald Trump won. You had 4 years of Kamala Biden fucking this country up. I say Kamala Biden. That's what it is though. Kamala Biden. Because Kamala was doing all the damn shit. And look at where this country was at. Look where it's at now. Even though I will say, this country was going to shit even when Bush them was here. The neocons. So this country is on the decline anyway. It's going to be on the decline because other countries have caught up. But that's a whole nother video. But yeah, man, hey, I dealt with a lot of these racist white folks. Men and women. White men and women. That's why I'll say why I'm going to sit up here and go and date a white woman, but when a lot of my discriminatory came from white women and white men. Why I'm going to lay up with a group of women that don't like me.